Hello, everybody. My name is Joanne O'Sullivan, and welcome to my podcast, Just for Once. And welcome back to Episode 8. Episode 8. I'm still going. The show where I'm dipping my toes back into stand-up 15 years after it was my dream to get into Just for Laughs. Anyway, I've taken a few weeks off. I took a few weeks off. I had a show that I was booked in to do a few weeks ago, and it got canceled. Maybe about 8 days ago, and that show got canceled for reasons that had nothing to do with me. But I had been hoping to use that as sort of fodder for episode 8. That got canceled. So, but also I just took a bit of a break. As you know, I've been working full time and my husband's been away, and I do these at night after my daughter is in bed. And so I took a bit of a breather, and this is just going to be a short podcast just to sort of bring everybody up to date with what's been going on. I felt like I needed to just touch base with you guys. And I should also say, since I brought up you guys, that this podcast, some episodes I've had as much as almost 200 people listen to, down to about 60. But I will say I'm averaging about 70 people a podcast who download this and listen to it. And I haven't really been promoting it. So I want to thank those people, whoever you are, whoever are listening to this. I really appreciate that. It's funny, on the stats that you can see, there's different countries that are, by far, most of these downloads are in Canada. So thank you, Canada. Followed by the States. But then I'm getting interesting downloads in Europe and Japan. So whoever you guys are, thank you so much for downloading this. So one of the other things that delayed me was I said in the last podcast that I was going to email Just for Laughs to see if I could get onto one of their showcases, because they were showcasing people. And I have to be honest with you, I got a little bit of cold feet. And I think that's because, I need to say again how hard it is to actually get into any of the comedy festivals in Canada. There's so much great competition out there, and you really need to be able to get out there and practice and do it. And I don't want to do it just for fun. I want to really do it. And because I'm working and, busy, it's hard to get out there as much as I feel like respectfully I need to do just to do it. So I got cold feet. I was like, do I really want to reach out? Do I really want to reach out when I don't know for sure what that looks like for me? But then I thought, you know what? I am gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. So I looked for, there's this person, I don't want to say her name. I guess I could say her name. I'll say Zoe. That's the person who you email or who goes out to all the showcases and who books Just for Laughs. And I was looking for her email online. I was Googling. I was going to Google as part of this podcast, but I began before I started taping. And wow, there's a real rabbit hole to go down, and I don't want to bore you with that. But I realized we have 138 common friends, 138. And I kind of knew her like back in the day. So I'm going to reach out to her on Facebook just to say, it all just gives me hives a little bit. I'm not going to lie. Because I think that if I asked to do something by April or May, which is how long they do them, I would be ready by then. But it really made me think, once you've reached out and asked, you need to be prepared to do it. Like, that's the thing. You need to do it. So I really had to think about that. I really had to give that some thought. And I think, it's so funny. It's the same old thing. Like, it's what caused me not to do it before was being so busy in other aspects of my life. And it's interesting, if I was writing a novel about this journey, this would be about the moment where I would add some conflict. And I think this is the conflict. This is the like, if I'm going to email, then that means I really gotta be ready. So that's the commitment that I'm going to do my best to make, because I am going to reach out on Facebook. But then you get into the whole thing on Facebook Messenger of, will she get that message? Maybe she won't. I think Facebook now tells you, because I'm not her friend, so it's going to be like, will she get that message? Who knows? I don't even know how that works. I found out like 5 years later that somebody important had Facebooked me, but I think they've resolved that. Anyway, let's hope. Fingers crossed. Who knows? I'm a bit of a Luddite when it comes to that stuff. So anyway, I do have a show tomorrow that I'm doing. I'm performing tomorrow night. So to get back into the actual stand-up stuff. So tomorrow night I have a show, and just to quickly loop you into that. So if you listen to the Sterling show, that went really well. And I did a joke in that show called Slurp Ramp, which is a joke I used to do 15 years ago. And I tell a story about then doing that joke again in front of young children, and it was very horrifying. But there's always been a moment in the Slurp Ramp joke from years ago, and from, if you go back and listen to the Sterling set, you'll hear it again. And the Slurp Ramp joke, if you haven't heard it, you should go back. But it's about, people, men putting penises through a wall, through holes, and then people servicing it on the other side. And then my joke is, I'd be too afraid to do that, because what if I didn't get picked? Kind of wrecking my joke if you haven't heard it yet, but go back to the last podcast and listen. Anyway, there's a moment when I say, and I've always said, but it makes me wonder, what's the criteria for picking? Like if you're at the other side of the wall and you're looking at the members that are hanging there, what's the criteria for picking? And this idea of that line, what's the criteria for picking, has always got a really big laugh. And I've always known in the back of my head, I should expand, as it were. I should flesh out, as it were. Oh my God. I should explore the idea of what would be the criteria for picking. I think that would be a funny part of the joke if I did that. So tomorrow night, it's a paid show. I'm excited to do it, and it's all female group of comedians, as it was in Sterling, interestingly enough. But I'm going to try to talk about the criteria. What would the criteria be? And I think it's going to be. I haven't even quite decided, but it's going to be something along the lines of, do you decide, well, are they erect or not? Is this too much information? Because if they already are, then you have a full idea of what you're picking from. But if they're not yet, then you're going to be surprised. And that could be a good surprise or a bad surprise. Anyway, that's a joke I'm going to try out tomorrow. And then I will play that for you when I do this podcast. And I don't think it's going to be another 15 days. I think I'm going to try to do these closer together. But I had a bit of soul searching to do. And I did it. And I feel like I need to push through this moment of doubt, and can I do this? And I just need to push through it, and I need to send the message. So I will. And when I come back next week, I will tell you the result of that. And maybe there'll be no result, because there's no pressure. Nobody needs to respond. I mean, people maybe don't respond. Oh my God. No pressure, anybody listening to this, to respond to my email. Maybe from Just for Laughs. And because sometimes you just need to have been in the game a little bit longer than I have been to expect that kind of a response. Anyway, and I'm going to try out my new joke about criteria for picking penises stuck out of a wall. If you need to listen, go back to the Sterling episode and listen to my joke, and then you'll get it. Okay, thank you for listening. This is my brief little catch-up moment. And you 60, 70, 80 people who keep downloading and listening, I really appreciate it. Thank you for following me on this journey. And if you have a dream, dust it off and try it out and see how it goes, and we'll push through these moments together. I'm rooting for you. And until next week, bye-bye.